Hey guys, welcome back to Allison Unfiltered. I am so excited to bring you the guest that I have, Melissa Adams. Oh my gosh. She is not only become a friend of mine, but she's someone I very much look up to. She's a huge leader in Xyngular. Most of you know that Xyngular is a big part of our life. But she's also got an incredible story of survival. And, you know, we talk about that all the time. Like, you have two choices when you wake up every day. And that one choice is to either wake up and be a victim of everything that happened to you and feel sorry for yourself, or you can wake up every day and you can be a survivor and a fighter and turn whatever happened to you into something good that helps other people, right? And so that's why we're here. And Melissa has one of those stories. So Melissa, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Oh my gosh, Allison, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I know your little Georgia accent. Oh my gosh, they're gonna get a good taste of Texas and Georgia today.
There we go.
I'm excited.
Never hurt anybody.
So no, it never hurt anybody. You know, you inspired me. You and I were talking on the phone one day, just talking about how the business is and things are, and most of us don't know our stories and where we came from, and like sometimes the bottom of the barrel of where we came from. You know, we just see these like beautiful, strong women that are just blowing up business, and you never know. Like, I'm always curious, what did that person have to go through to get to where they are today, you know? So I would love for you to share your story, just kind of back it up to what we talked about that day on the phone. And I was floored. Like, when you told me your story, I was like, I would have never in a million years guessed that that's where you were going to go with that story. Like, never in a million years. So y'all might want to grab a tissue while you're listening or watching, because this is going to be this is not easy stuff to talk about, you know?
It's not. And when you had, you know, when I talked to you earlier today, I'm just like, you know, I need to get mentally prepared for where I'm going, because, you know, every time you talk to someone about it, you go back and you relive those memories. And so many times we try to push them out of our way and stuff. But I think you grow every time you tell somebody. And, you know, I know that God had a purpose for me going through it. And hopefully through what I went through, somebody will be strong enough to not have to deal with as much of it as I had to deal with, if that makes sense. But I may even shock you some more, because I'm going to take you back even further, a little bit further than when, you know,
Okay.
when I talked to you the first time about it. I think you have to know, like, I have the greatest childhood in the whole world. I've got the greatest parents. They brought me up in church. We were there, you know, we're in the Bible Belt. So we were in church every Sunday morning, every Sunday night. I mean, we grew up in church, and the people that I hung out with all the time were my church friends. They were good, you know, all the good kids, and, you know, that's who we hung out with. And so we dated in that circle. You know, that's who we dated, was, you know, the people that came to church, because that's where we always were. And one summer there was a guy that started coming, was spending the summer with his grandmother. And he was a new guy. He was a teenager our age. He was, you know, a year older than me. And so when there was somebody new, you know. And so when he came in, we got to know each other and we started dating. I was 16
Fresh
years.
meat.
What is that? Fresh meat. Exactly.
I said fresh meat.
That's it. And so we started dating, and we had gone out a couple of times. And, you know, my parents were pretty strict. I'm the oldest of four, so I got the strictest end of the deal. And they had to know where I was going. This was way back before cell phones or anything. I mean, they just had to trust us that we were going where we said we were going to. And I was a little bit of a rebel at the time, you know, kind of pushing my limits at 16, seeing what I could get away with. And so we had gone out. I was, my curfew was, I think on the weekends, 10 o'clock. I mean, it wasn't late, but we had gone out and we went parking. And in the back seat of his vehicle, I lost my virginity by date rape. I said no, and he didn't listen. And I think you have to know, like, that's where my mind was. And that's where everything started, because I couldn't go home and tell my parents because I was somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. So I had to keep all of that inside, and that changed the entire trajectory of my life, because even though I said no, he didn't listen. I'm the one that felt guilty. I felt the guilt of it. I felt dirty. I felt worthless. I felt, who in the world's ever going to want me? Because, I'm tainted, I felt like I had that label on me, even though nobody knew. I knew, and I knew that God knew. And instead of running to the Lord, because He'll forgive you, but I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. I started running as far away as I could, and started trying to find my worth in the wrong things. Started trying to find my worth in the wrong friends and alcohol. I started drinking, and that's not something that I had ever done before. And so that, it was just that mentality when I didn't think I was worthy of a good boy. I went after the bad boys. And so brings me to our conversation. When I was 19 years old, I met a guy that was a couple of years older in the military, and he was hot. I'm just gonna tell you. And so we started talking and we started dating, and he was stationed in North Carolina, and he would come visit me and shower all the compliments and everything. And I was in love, or so I thought, but I also was running. I wanted to get as far away from the church people who could have loved me. I wanted to get as far away from that as I could. So I was going after people my parents didn't know, and they did not like him at all. And they told me, they were very, very vocal about it. But again, I was in this full on rebellion because I was not who they thought I was, and that guilt just like poured on. So I followed him all the way to Japan. He got stationed in Okinawa and got a credit card at 19 years old. First time I'd ever been on a plane. Flew from Atlanta to Okinawa, Japan, with 3 stops. My mother, I can remember her screaming and begging me not to go. And there was nothing going to stop me. That was going to get me as far away from here as I could get, and far away from those memories and far away from everything. And so it was, I had been there for probably about 3 weeks the first time he hit me. And I was shocked. I've never seen my father hit my mother. I've never seen a man abuse a woman. And I can remember him saying, if you had just listened to me, I wouldn't have had to do that. And I can remember apologizing to him for him hitting me. I can remember like it was yesterday. And then I can remember him saying, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. It'll never happen again. And of course, I'm in love with him, He's the greatest thing ever. So over the next, 6 months, it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And it was, it has started happening on a regular basis. And it got to the point, it was bad, bad. I can remember him putting a knife up to my.
Were you having to cover up bruising and things like that? Were you at that point where
go anywhere?
Or was he strategic where he hit you?
Yeah, I didn't go anywhere. Oh no, I didn't go anywhere. I stayed in the apartment. Um, he
Wow.
he's cut the instead of he held the knife to my throat, but cut the back of my neck, and he had me so like. I mean, he took. I mean, at that point, still no social media, no cell phones. So the only way I had to call my mother was to go to a payphone, and he completely cut me off from my family. And when that happened, my parents had gotten in touch with some mission board, and they got in touch with some missionaries that were in Okinawa, and they came to the door, and they just said, just come with us, we can help you. And he had told me if I ever left, he would kill me, and he would go kill my family. So I was like, no, I can't go. And I stayed. I mean, that was my out, and I stayed. And no, girl, I mean, broke nose, black eyes, bruises everywhere. I mean, it was swollen everywhere. I mean, it was that kind of abuse. And he went on leave, and we went to, he was from Hawaii, and we went to Hawaii, and he was supposed to come back, and I was going to stay there. And I was thinking, okay, now I can, get out of this. But then it was just like, oh, he showered it on, He came and he complimented me to his family, told me how happy he was with me, told them what a great person I was. And that's all he had to do. I was sucked back in just like that, And we decided I was going to marry him in Hawaii. We were going to get married. And so he was on a 30-day leave. We were going to get married before he left to go back to Japan. And we got married. I thought he would change. If we're married, he's going to change, right? I know I can get him to change. I know that, he loves me as much as I love him. If we're just married, he's not going to do this. Oh, girl, that just gave him, license to do whatever he wanted to at that point. But the 30 days was up, and instead of him going back to Japan in the military, he went AWOL, and he stayed in Hawaii. And that was, years of just pure hell. And I remember one time he had beat me pretty bad, and I was black and blue, and I went to his dad, and his dad said that marriage license gives him permission to do whatever he wants to with you. And of course his dad beat his stepmom. So, it was like, I wasn't getting out. I knew then I wasn't getting out. I dealt with it. And, it was, oh girl, I wasn't allowed to work.
How old were you?
At that time, I was in Hawaii from 19, almost 20 till I was 21, almost 21. So 19 to 21, I was in Hawaii. So sometime in those 2 years, kind of a blur. But I can remember, he wouldn't let me work. So I had to stay there. He wouldn't work because he couldn't. He went AWOL. And you talk about dirt poor. I know where the word dirt poor comes from. I can remember, we stayed with his parents some, but then he would get mad and we would leave. And I can remember us being in this shack. I can remember that's where we lived. And I can remember being on the floor on just a dirty mattress and looking through the floor at the dirt. I can remember laying there and just thinking, how did I get from where I was to here? That was probably the lowest point of all of that. That was probably the lowest point that I had been at. And, we didn't have money for nothing. And every time we would get money, he would spend it drinking and stuff. And, we'd go to, our food consisted of ramen noodles. They were, you could get like a 10-pack for, I don't know, for $1. It wasn't much, but that was, that was our food. And Spam and rice. It was awful, but, like that for a couple of years, and found out I was pregnant. And again, like he always threatened me. If I ever left him, he would not. And I believed him. I believed that he would kill me if I ever left him. But when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't tell him. And I knew that you could do whatever you wanted to, but it was my job to protect that baby. I couldn't let anything happen to her. So one night he had sent me out to get him beer, and I drove to the airport, and I used their phone and called my mom and dad, and they put a ticket home on their credit card, and the plane didn't leave for 3 hours, and I can remember sitting there looking at that airport door, just waiting for him to come in. And I don't know, it was by the grace of God that I got out. And I got home, and it took me years to quit feeling like I owed him something, to quit looking behind my back, to quit feeling the guilt, to quit feeling unworthy. All of the things that he told me all the time, all of the dirt, the just nasty things. I mean, I felt like I was no better than dirt under his feet. Nobody wanted me. I was the most horrible person because I got told that every day of my life. Every day. That's what I got told. And little by little, I started finding my worth again. And it was, I can still remember when Taylor was 7 or 8 years old, still having the same recurring nightmares over and over of him coming in and taking her and killing me. It was years that it took to get over that mental abuse. The physical abuse went away, but the mental and emotional abuse, that stayed. But I look back now, this has been, I'm 52, and
Have you ever
I
seen
look
him
back,
since?
yes, I did. I saw him when Taylor wanted to meet her biological father. She wanted to know where she was coming from. And I always told her, when you turn 16, if you still want to, I'll take you, because at that age she could be emancipated. I didn't want him to ever see her until I knew that he couldn't get her if something were to happen to me. So when she turned 16, we went, met the whole family, saw him, and she's saw him. We were good, and we haven't seen him since. She doesn't want to see him or
But
have
did
anything
he
to.
ever ask? Did he ever ask he never tried to find you? Like, he just let you go? He never tried to. Well, I guess he didn't have any money. He couldn't, right?
Well, he ended up, when we got home, we ended up having him put in jail for AWOL. We ended up telling the military where he was, and he got put in jail for going AWOL. I stayed in touch with his sister for a while to let her know, where the car was and that everything was okay. And, I wasn't coming back and all that kind of good stuff. So I didn't, that was my protection from him coming after me, is he went to jail, which
Okay.
he should have went.
That's totally fair. I would have done the same thing. Like, anything to keep him locked up to not be able to get to me. Yeah. And my kiddo. Yeah, for sure.
But you know what's crazy?
Gosh, girl.
When we went back, when Taylor, when she went back to meet him, he had remarried. He has other kids. You could see the same fear in his wife's eyes as I used to have. So he never stopped. You could just see that when you could just see that fear, and you can see it. It was and I'm just like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. And so many people say, gosh, if don't you wish things had been different, or don't you wish that you didn't have to go through that? And then I would have said yes, but now I look back and, are you there? Because you just went black.
I'm still here.
Okay.
I can still see you.
Okay. Your screen went back.
Sometimes it's just the connection. So
Okay.
just even if
Well,
it goes black, just keep going.
okay.
Just keep going.
I look back now and I can see why I had to go through that valley. And sometimes, you have to walk roads and you don't understand why you have to walk that road and you don't understand why things happen to you. But now that I'm where I'm at, I was a leader for a college girls Bible study, and so many girls my age have gone through, would go through things that I walked that road, and I would have never been able to look them in the eye and say, let me help you get out of this, or you don't need to worry about this, or you are worthy, or you are perfect, or you are amazing, or you are beautiful. Nobody else tells you that. I'm going to tell you that. And just to help them overcome. I have talked to other young girls who are in abusive relationships and help them get out, and I would have never been able to, they would have never been able to trust me with it, or, think that I knew how they felt if I had not had to walk that road, walk where they're walking right now. And, I wouldn't have my beautiful daughter, my 3 grandbabies. So no, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change a thing because God had a plan.
Yeah.
God had a purpose, even though it was not.
And the interesting thing about that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think we have a little bit of a delay.
We do. I was going to say, even though it was my choice that I followed him. I had free will to do whatever I wanted to do. God can take any situation, even the bad situations, and turn it around for his good, which is exactly what he has done in my life.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I can totally relate to the running as far away as possible. I know you haven't listened to the podcast that I'm doing, but maybe you'll be able to check out some of it. But one of the things I had talked about was, I ran as far away from the church as possible because I was in, youth group, and I'm a 13-year-old. And when I was 13, I was modeling for John Robert Powers. I mean, did not look 13 years old. And I didn't carry myself like a 13-year-old girl. I carried myself like a woman because it's what I was taught in modeling school. And so I'm 13 years old. I'm in youth group, and there's, 17-year-old boys in there. And they just wanted in my pants. And so every time there'd be an outing to a movie, there was this one in particular. And I remember talking to my brother about this not long ago, and he was just floored. He's like, why didn't you tell me? And he was like, are you talking about John? And I was like, yeah, he's the one that every time we'd go to the movies, he'd want to sit next to me and try to put his hands in my pants or, whatever. And it left the worst taste in my mouth for church. And then I didn't feel worthy. And then I was looking for love in all the wrong places, trying to fill that emptiness that God was supposed to fill. And I trusted, and I fell in love, and I hung out with the druggies because I didn't feel worthy of hanging out with people that were good people. I hung out with the bad kids and the bad crowd and the crowd that was into crazy stuff, right? Yep. And so in doing that, it just put me in a different situation for, I don't know, following God. It took me a long time to find my way back there, a really long time. And I've been in those situations where, I never actually got hit, but he tried, and I called my dad and my brother, and they came and packed up my whole stuff. But, I was only 4 hours away in Houston. I wasn't, a whole country away, all the way in Hawaii, And so I just it floors me, this story that you have, because you would look at you, Melissa, and I would never in a million years think that someone like you went through that. And I think that's why it's so important that we don't judge each other. it's real easy to judge, but until you've walked in someone else's shoes, like,
Yeah.
just shut up. Like, don't judge people. Don't think, oh, they're high and mighty or whatever, or because they carry themselves with confidence that they're stuck up, or they're not. They have fought to build that persona that they have, and to carry themselves that way in their posture. It's because they fought for it, you know? So, people have no idea most of the stuff that I've been through, right? And so it's frustrating to be judged. And I would have never, I mean, not that I ever thought you were high and mighty, but I would never have thought you had been through something like that. I would look at you and think, oh gosh, this girl's had a great life,
Got it
and you
all
do
together.
now, right? I mean, yeah. So let's talk about a little bit about that, and your journey into, because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on Xyngular, but I do want that, because that is part of you now. And so talk about that, and the journey and the struggle with you, because all of that ties back to your mental wellness, right?
Oh yeah.
The eating, the overeating, the
Oh
eating
yeah.
your feelings. I mean, that all ties into what you think about yourself, and how you feel about yourself, and how you've been trained, right, through your life.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
Well, that was my drug. Food was my drug. I ate, food
Yep.
made me feel better. And so, I gained a whole lot of weight because of that. I'm 5'1". At one point I was 267 pounds, and to this day, I am addicted to food. I choose, every day. It's just like alcohol, an alcoholic, when you get clean, you choose every day not to drink. A drug addict, you choose every day not to take those drugs. I choose every day not to eat crap that's not good for me. Some days I fail, you know, some days I fail, especially when you go through stressful situations, but that doesn't, it, the only way I fail is if I quit trying, right? So I
Yes.
wake up, I failed yesterday. Today is going to be the day I get through the whole day without doing, and a lot more days now I get through. But there's still some times where it's so much, and I'll find myself grabbing a little Debbie. She is not your friend, I used to think she was my friend. Little Debbie is not your friend. But yeah, so when and it goes like the whole Xyngular thing, I thought I started it just to lose weight. I had no idea that it was going to be the vehicle God would use. The thing that I struggled with most in my life, which was my weight, that would be the thing that God would use for me to pour into and help so many other people. It's so ironic to me. But I've
Yeah.
worked since I've worked. I'm not scared of hard work. I'm not scared of, wanting more for me. And we're building our dream house now, and people see on social media, we go on these trips and we travel, and, I've had some people say, you're so lucky. And I just want to say, honey, it's not luck. I get up every single day and bust my tail for something more. I want more. I want more than just living paycheck to paycheck. I want more than just, being average and having to worry about money and not having time and having to give my time to, to a job that doesn't value me. I want more than that. So it's not luck. It is hard work, and there's nobody that can't do what I've done. I'm no different from anybody else. There's nothing special about me. I'm just a Georgia girl, I'm just a plain, ordinary, average person who decided that she wanted an extraordinary life. That's what I've worked for every day to build.
And that's the thing, is all it takes is consistency and hard work. Everybody's looking for the secret sauce. What's the secret sauce? You get up and you do it every dang day. No matter what's happening, no matter how sad you are, no matter if somebody died in your family, no matter if your kids are sad or there's a lot happening or you're real busy, no matter what, you're doing it every day. And that's the only way you're going to be able to build an extraordinary life. But here's the difference. Some people would ask, well, what's different than that than doing another job? Oh, it's so different because I can do it on my terms. I can do it from my pajamas in front of my fireplace on my couch. I don't have to clock in and out for lunch. I can stop, put it down, and go eat lunch whenever I want to. I can go plan lunch with somebody. I can hop on a plane and fly to see Melissa for lunch if that's what I wanted to do, right? I mean, that's the thing. That's the beauty of it, is that time freedom. And yes, it does take a lot of time. I work harder at this than any job I ever have had in my life because I am so passionate about it. When you are passionate about something, you're going to be consistent with it. No excuses, right? You're only looking for results.
Yeah.
When you're interested in something, you're going to touch it when it's convenient for you. I'm not interested
And you
in
said
this.
something.
I am.
And you used a word, and I think both of us can relate to that part of it. Is you said the word freedom. There have been times in our life back when we were imprisoned. We had no freedom. And I want more. A job is, you are held, any kind of job that you have, somebody is holding you accountable, telling you when you can do things, what you can do, what you have to do, when you have to do it. That is not freedom. I don't care how much money you make. That is not freedom. And I don't want to be I worked in corporate America for 25 years. You know, I was able to walk away at 46 years old. Thank you, Jesus, because now I see, I missed so much with my daughter's life because I had to work my tail off because I wanted her to have, everything she wanted. So I worked my tail off, but I missed so much. I do not have to do that with my grandbabies. Anytime she calls, I go. I can go. I can get up. I can go over there every day if I want to and see them. I mean, I don't have any restrictions on my time. And there is, financial freedom is fantastic. I love having, extra money to do whatever I want to, but you cannot put a price on time. And the older I get, that's what's most important to me. Because, you're young and, just like you wish you wish life by. I can't wait until I can do this, or I can't wait until, my kids start school. I can't wait until this, and now it's just like, just slow down, time is the most valuable thing you possess. And if you are spending 40, 50, 60 hours at a job and missing all that with the people who matter the most to you, I can promise you, you're not going to lay down on your deathbed and say, dang, I wish I had worked 2 more hours that day.
That's true. It's so true. And what I love, yeah, and what I love is, like, I still have teenagers at home, right? So and they're in college, and they're they're busy, and they both have full-time jobs. They're both entrepreneurs. But when they walk down the stairs to go to work or to go to school or go to the gym or whatever they're going to do, I'm right here. I can put my phone down and visit with them. I can, hang out with Toothless, our lizard, all day and snuggle with him. I wouldn't be able to do that if I was at a 9-to-5, right? I would miss so much. And so I think the freedom that it's given us is something. I don't think I could ever go work for someone again. I don't think it's possible for me. I was never good at that anyway, because I'm real mouthy. And I was good at it. I don't really like to, I don't mind following the rules, but yeah. I just, I was mouthy. I always wanted to, let everybody know my opinion. So I just think that we have such an incredible opportunity, and, what has this done for you? You know, you're talking about leading a Bible study for young girls and what you've been through, but what does this do for you? I mean, you're in a position of leadership with Xyngular. What has that changed for you? Like, with being able to help other people change their lives, like, for me, it fills my cup. I mean, my cup runneth over when I have someone say, oh my gosh, I got to do this for my kid because of this. Like, I went and bought World Series tickets for our family because I had the extra money and gave my kids an experience. Like, what are some of the things that have been so big to you to be able to be a leader and help other people?
Oh gosh, it's changed so much over the last 7 years or 5 years since I've done this and only this. Because at first it was like, I worked 25 years in corporate America, and as a woman, you don't get the accolades, and you have to work 10 times harder at the same job than a man did in my position. I was in the auto finance business, and the, car world is a man's world. So, and that's not even exaggerating. I got passed up for promotions. I got passed up for awards when knowing I was deserving of them, but I wasn't a man. So just in the beginning, gosh, being able to get the recognition that, that I can get by being, affiliated with this company. I mean, it's just knowing somebody giving me a pat on the back or saying thank you and stuff like that. That was what drove me in the beginning. Now it's completely changed. Now it's me seeing other people get that. Be seeing other people be recognized and getting those awards and celebrated and shouting them out and seeing their face because I know how they feel. Sometimes, you get a stay-at-home mom. Sometimes it's the first time that somebody's ever appreciated them for something. Sometimes, you get somebody who's worked so hard at a job. Sometimes it's the first time they've ever been recognized for and had a pat on the back for doing something, and just seeing the joy that it brings people. Seeing, again, the freedom that people are experiencing because I helped them do something. I mean, that's what brings me joy. That's what fills my cup. That's what my biggest blessing is now, is helping others feel the same way that I feel.
Yeah. And I mean, you and I have walked that stage many a times. We've been given many awards. We've done some really great things. And it is so fulfilling and so rewarding. But you're right, it has changed over the years. And watching other people that have grown on our teams receive those awards and stand up there and cry, and like, it's everything. And the whole purpose is we're here not only to change our lives, but we're here to help change other people's lives. And so, I'm part of a ministry, Luke 17:10, and we go in every Wednesday and to the Smith County Juvenile Detention Center, and we minister to the kids. We bring them food, and while they're filling their bellies, we're filling their souls, right? Never in a million years did I ever think someone like me would be involved in something like that, right? Because who am I to do that? But if I can connect with these kids, and like one of the girls wrote us a letter, and she was like, I want more because of what you said. Like, that right there is, if I can help someone change their life, however it may be, maybe it's because of my addiction experience or the things that I've been through or all the struggles, and that I can relate to these kids. And I tell them all the time, the only difference between you and me is you got caught and I didn't. That's the only difference, right? But it doesn't matter if it's Xyngular, if it's in person, if it's Luke 17:10, if it's someone I just met. If I have the opportunity to help someone change their life, I have a servant's heart. And I think God put us in this place and put us what we went through so that we can empathize with other people and know where they're coming from. And I think it's just an incredible gift that we have. And I wouldn't trade anything that I've been through for any of it. You know, that experience, everything that we've been through has made us who we are today.
Yeah. And that's one thing I struggled with too was, you know, who am I with my background thinking that I can offer anybody anything? You know, I am not qualified to do anything, but one thing I've learned is God does not call the qualified, he qualifies the called. So as long as you're willing and as long as you're just say, use me, you know, he will. He will qualify you to do anything it is that he has for you to do. And even if it's leading people and teaching them how to earn money with weight loss, I mean, Lord knows that's the, you know, the last thing in the world I thought would be part of my ministry, but it is an extension of my ministry along with, you know, I'm full-time director of music at my church now. And I would never have had the time to do that had I had a job. So serving him has, I mean, gosh, serving him, serving others, that is what a joy that is.
Yeah. Well, I would say, you know, one of my favorite sayings is I'm so blessed. Everything always works out for me.
Yeah, girl.
You know, I don't ever want to use the word lucky. You know, I don't want to use the word lucky because lucky's not it. I've worked my ass off to get to where I am, right? And I'm not going to stop. And I'm willing to help others.
Yeah.
And in that same breath, it helps me too. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say there's not self-satisfaction in it, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than monetary. So I'm so glad that you're here, and I would have never met you. I would have never met someone like you without this vehicle of Xyngular, right? I would never have met such an incredible group of women. I want to say I'm so grateful for someone like you, to know someone like you, and I wouldn't have known someone like you without the vehicle of Xyngular. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm so grateful to know such a beautiful soul like you. And thank you for coming on and sharing your story, because it could help someone. If someone's listening, like, you don't have to take the abuse. Get out of it. Don't stay in that. Like, if you were your younger self, what piece of advice do you think you would give to someone, or give to yourself? You know, like what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
You are worth more. You are beautiful. Nobody can take anything away from you unless you allow it. So if you are in an abusive relationship, you don't have to be. You're choosing. You can choose to leave. There are resources. There are people. Contact me or Allison. We will help you. You do not have to be a victim. You can be a victor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, I love you to pieces. Melissa Adams, I think you're amazing. I can't wait to see you very soon in a few short months in Vegas and hug your neck. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being on here and sharing, because I know it's not easy. When you get time, if you get time to go back and listen to some of the podcasts, like, you'll see, like, I've bawled my eyeballs out through some of this stuff talking about it, because you do relive it as you're talking about it. And it's a little traumatizing, right? For a minute. And then you just kind of have to process things, but you're right. The more we talk about it, the more we heal,
the more purpose it has.
You know, you can't keep it all bottled up.
Yeah. And then again, like you said, if it can help just one person, it's worth it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I love you to pieces, and I'll see you soon. You're awesome. Thank you. Bye.